Legacy, Build Your Kingdom, Season 2. I'm Rudy Knapp, and we are back. And this is the second year of this podcast. This is the first episode of the second year. So I wanted to start this season off by really taking a look at my podcast and look at ourselves. So as we ended the last season, we went through and did a whole recap. I did an entire recap on every single episode as we talked about building your kingdom and all the life lessons and all the different topics that went with it. 41 episodes. Well, 40 episodes, and then 41 was a recap. 40 episodes last year. What a feat for me, but also guiding me towards year number 2 as we continue on with this podcast. Hopefully people are still listening and hopefully people are still taking some sort of portion from this. I do get some feedback from several people over every week, which is great. I love the feedback. Please keep it coming. If you're listening to this, please send me something. Just acknowledge, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you would like to hear about. Tell me all of those different aspects of what you're feeling, the emotions, those kind of things, because it does help me as it guides me through what we talk about next and also how this podcast is going to continue. So I want to dive right into it. I want to talk about how this second year of Legacy, Build Your Kingdom, this is a pivotal moment for me, right? This is us going from year 1 where we laid down the foundation and we found what this podcast is actually going to be about, to year 2 where we're expanding, we're getting deeper, we're going to be into some sort of like architectural look at how this podcast exists. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're going to do that today. If you notice, we talked about life, we talked about almost identifying what we need to do in this podcast in the past year, where we identified many different topics and gave some information on maybe different approaches and perspectives going forward. But this year, I'm going to have this kind of overarching theme for the year to be about sustainability and sovereignty. And so those are two big words. And so I want to talk a little bit about those two words. Sustainability is the practice of meeting our present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. So think about that concept. We're going to continue on and we're going to continue to build this kingdom and continue to provide for my kingdom, continue to provide information, perspective so you can build your kingdom. Continue to do that without the ways in which I'm going to take from you, hopefully, in your kingdom. I want to give to your kingdom as you might want to take and give to your future generations, your future kingdoms that you're building up. Now, think about that image, because that's a very powerful image. Passing down information to other people. When I listen to people, they're giving me some of them. They're giving me some of their energy. They're giving me their perspective. They're giving me something so I can take that perspective and I could build it in my kingdom. And I could build it for my kingdom. And I could build it for those kingdoms underneath my kingdom, like my kids and those people around me, or not underneath me, but even parallel to me. My friends, my family, those people, where they're building their kingdoms. It is generational. And when we talk about that impact, we go right back to that word legacy. How are you going to be remembered? How are you and what you stand for and who you are as a person and what you've given to people? How is that going to be remembered? And how is that going to be here generations from now? How is that legacy going to be continued on for generations and generations? I've talked many times about all those people that have impacted my life, but those things are still passed down through me that I receive from them. And that's what I want for you. I want you to pass down those good things, those things that make you understand your core values and all those things that are happening in your life that you're passing down to your people or to those people. And I want you to truly look at yourself, and I want you to see how you can continue this sustainability throughout your entire life. And then the second word, sovereignty, it's the supreme independent authority of our own body to rule itself, make laws, and control its own territory within external interference, without external interference. It defines the ultimate decision-making power within a territory or internal, and the autonomy in international affairs or external. It also refers to the state itself, meaning your own kingdom. So think about those words and understand that you're talking about your state, your kingdom, your territory. So sovereignty is that independent authority of your own life. You control your own life. You control what happens in. You control your kingdom. You control all of these things, and as you continue to control them, you are making decisions after decisions to keep that external interference out and to understand that you have the power within, that internal. And when you do that and you model that, the rest of those kingdoms, they're definitely going to explode and they're going to become greater and abundant. And so when we start looking at those things in the second year, sustainability and sovereignty, they're two huge words that are going to help your life, not only your kingdom, but those people around you for generations. So we get into it. We talk about these pillars, these 5 pillars that I continue to talk about forever, and they're most impactful types of ways to look at your own life. These pillars are so important: the mental, the physical, the spiritual, the career, and then this emotional intelligence. Those 5 things are so important, but I'm going to add some more pillars. So as I go through this year, I'd like to, as I'm kind of reflecting and coming through the goals of this next year, I want to get into some more pillars, some deeper pillars. Not that I'm going to add them to those 5 major pillars of your life, but the concept of what we do with those pillars, like the architect, the deep, like how do I build that pillar, and how do I sustain that pillar, and how do I continue to move beyond this general advice and then dive into these blueprints of your legacy, right? This means I'm going to probably add in some guests this time in this year, some interviewing, maybe add in some very valuable people in this world and how they did it. What is their blueprints? And if you're interested, you get to see successful people, business, right? Maybe just general people, good people, and how they live their life to build their pillars up, to keep them standing strong, their kingdom becomes stronger. So we're going to go from what to do to how to build it and make it last. That's a huge step for me. Those are huge goals and challenges for me. Also, I want to incorporate this community, right? This integration. I want to go from, this year 1 of me having these conversations. I think I had one guest who was my son who was on, to try to add in some more people, but not only just that, but maybe focusing on important people in life and having conversations about them if they're not on the show, but also talking about how they got to their part. Maybe even some kingdom challenges, right? Incorporate this concept of actionable steps for you to continue to build your kingdom and sustain that. And then maybe some different perspectives, this diversified situation of perspective, right? So maybe we get some new topics in here, these crazy topics, maybe wildcard topics, where we add in legacy in unexpected ways, such as like maybe this digital footprint, or maybe volunteering in this world and how that affects your life and your kingdom. Maybe talking about maybe this idea of leisure and what we do in our leisure time, and how we spend our time and how that can affect our kingdom. Or maybe even AI and its evolution and how that's impacted our lives. We'll get into some more concepts of these things, and hopefully, we get some suggestions from my kingdom or you guys listening to throw them back at me. What suggestions would you like to hear about? What topics? What maybe perspectives, or maybe some concepts that maybe we haven't talked about that are generalized, but maybe more specific on things that affect our lives. So before we can do any of these things, what I want to do in this first podcast is I really want to get into this idea of an audit. I call it a legacy audit, right? We have to assess this foundation of ourselves before we can expand it. And so as we continue through year 2, not only am I assessing this Legacy Build Your Kingdom podcast, I'm talking to you about assessing your life. And not only am I assessing my podcast, I'm also assessing my life and what's working. What are the foundations before I can expand, right? So we're going to kind of make this episode a little bit about a recap and then also about us launching year 2, right? So think of it this way. Last year we talked about the why behind building your legacy, right? We laid the bricks. But before we add a second story to this kingdom, we have to perform an audit. A king who doesn't know the state of his realm is just a man with a crown. That's an interesting phrase right there. Today, we're going to look at 3 specific areas of your life to see what's holding firm and what's starting to crack. So think of those pillars. Think of them standing strong. Okay, I'm good on money. I'm good on, my career. My finances, great. But maybe our relationship is cracking. Or maybe I'm not getting along with my children at this point. Or maybe my person and I are arguing. Or maybe I stopped going to church, or I stopped having a relationship with God and I need to work on that. Those things start picturing, right? So the 3, areas that we're going to kind of focus on are the inventory, right? And the first part of that inventory is about analyzing your areas of your life, your health, your mental, your physical, your wealth. And you talk about your career, your financial development, your relationships, is your emotional intelligence. We talk about your spiritual or your relationship with God and your purpose. So we're going to think back on year 1 and which ones have remained stagnant. And then number 2, we talk about which ones of these do we have to go through and we have to clip and make even better. We have to discuss the habits or mindsets that we need to allow for this new growth of this kingdom throughout year 2. So what do we need to actually fine tune and fix and cut off and make it so it's specific, right? And then we talk about year 2 like declaration, right? So we have to share our personal visions, about how we grow and about our growth and how we have grown, so we can achieve personal goals by the end of the year. So we're going to declare what our vision is and what we're looking for this growth by the end of year 2. And so like I kind of declared for this podcast, the couple things that I want to do going forward, right? And so with you, I'm challenging you to declare those things for yourself as well. What do I want to have happen? It might happen that maybe didn't happen in the first year of listening to this or building your kingdom. Maybe going forward in year 2, this is where you really want to be, and this is a goal that you're going to be focused on. So before we start this audit, right? So we're going to go through an audit and how to do this. Before we can go through this audit, we want to talk about a 3-step process to think about while we're going through this, right? So the first part of this that I say is it's called the reality check, right? The as is. So you can't build a kingdom on a shaky foundation. You just can't. It's going to fall down. It's shaky. The foundation's cracking. It's not even. You can't build this kingdom, right? So if you think about your castle, your kingdom, how are you going to build it? It can't be starting on a shaky foundation, right? We need to look at the past year with brutal honesty rather than judgment, but we're going to be honest, right? We have to look at ourselves, and I always preach, look in the mirror. You have to look in the mirror at yourself and your actions. When you start blaming everyone else, it falls apart. It's a shaky foundation. The only person to look at is yours, your decisions and what you've chose to do to other people, to be in other people's lives, to not be in other people's lives, to be at a situation where you created certain things to be shaky. Or even if it wasn't caused by you, you put yourself in these situations. So look at yourself with brutal honesty. We can't plan the map for year 2 if we don't know exactly where we're standing right now. We just can't plan it. An audit isn't about beating yourself up for what you didn't do. It's about gathering information or data so you can lead yourself to better. Look in the mirror, be honest, and set our goals accordingly. What are your emotions reflecting on the last year? What are you proud of? What are your challenges? What will you focus on in year two? You're asking yourself these questions and you're really focusing on yourself. So, the reality check, looking in the mirror. And then number two, identifying the high yield areas. What does that mean? Well, you know, you talk about these successes of your previous year, in legacy building, certain actions provide a higher return of investment on your future, okay? So in year one, we explore many topics. We look back at your life over the last 12 months. I went back and talked about my life. I talked in this podcast for the last 12 months. Which habits actually move the needle for your family, your business, or your peace of mind? Those are your high yield pillars. We're going to double down on these this year. So think about the habits, think about all the conversation we had in year one. What did you actually take from the podcast in year one that actually helped move your life into bettering your kingdom? Those are your high yield parts of your life. But on the opposite part, we have what we call the legacy leak. Okay? So this concept is the habits or commitments that are draining your resources, like your time, your money, your energy, without contributing to your long-term kingdom, building your kingdom. Every great builder knows that small leaks sink great ships. In this audit, we're going to look for your legacy leaks. The people pleasing, the wasted hours, or the outdated goals that no longer serve who you are, what you want to become in year two. We are clearing your foundation so you can build higher. Think about those leaks. They exist. Those people in your life that shouldn't be there. Those people in your life that drain you. Those things in your life that are draining you. Those video games, maybe. Those wasted time and hours on energy that you're not getting anything to help build your kingdom. Last year, we talked about the why behind building a legacy, right? We laid the bricks, right? But before we can add a second story to your kingdom, we have to do this audit. This is what we just talked about, right? I want you to make sure you understand that if you're going to build up or build your kingdom out or build your kingdom upward or continue to grow that kingdom, we have to be able to do this with this audit, right? Looking back at where we were and where we need to be, right? So let's start this audit real quick. The 4 territories of this kingdom audit. So we talked about territories, we're talking about a kingdom, we try to relate the words together. I want you to think about this. You have an internal territory. This is called your mindset and your spirit, right? This is your mental, this is your purpose or your spiritual, right? This is the throne room. If the leader's mind is cluttered, the kingdom will be chaotic. Believe me, I've gone through this. If your mind is messed up all over the place, you're thinking all over the place, you're not focused, and you have a lot going on in your mind, the stress is building up, you are going to have a chaotic kingdom. And at times we all have it. We have to focus and we have to work on that internal territory. So in year one, what was the primary noise in your head? You have to answer that honestly. What was the doubt, the comparison, or the lack of focus? Think about that question and answer it honestly. So the action, your audit action, as I call it. Identify one belief from last year that is officially evicted and make room for year two growth. You got rid of something, you got rid of someone, you got rid of people, you got whatever. If that's true, if that's fully true, then identify it, right? And make room for your year two. Number 2, the relational territory. This is the connection and tribe part of this, right? Legacy is never built alone. This is about the people who reside within your walls. This is your kingdom. This is part of your kingdom. So who were the builders in your last year? Who were the builders in your life last year? And who were the spectators? Did you spend your best energy on the people who actually are part of your long-term vision? This is a tough question. Maybe you thought it was something. Maybe you thought and you changed your mind. Maybe there was people in your life for part of your time. But who is there supporting you? Who is there helping you build your kingdom? Who is there that built you up? And did you give your energy to them? Did you give your best energy to that person or those people? Or who is just a spectator? Who is just watching? Or who are the haters? Your audit action is this: commit to one relational investment, a specific person or a group you will pour more into this year to strengthen your community. That is a choice that you're going to have to make. This is part of your audit. Number 3, the physical territory, your health and environment. This is a big one for me. The kingdom requires a strong engine. You cannot build a legacy without the vessels, if the vessels are falling apart. Think about it. If your body is falling apart, you can't build this strong kingdom. If your mind is falling apart, you can't build this strong kingdom. So think about your health as the most important part. The question: did your physical environment and health support your ambitions last year, or did they hinder them? Were you building your kingdom at the expense of your temple? Our body is our temple. We heard this many times out there, and it is true. Your body is a temple. Without a temple, you can't act, or you are limited to things in life. So what kept you from moving and building your kingdom? Did you have physical or health issues that are keeping you from building your kingdom? Did they hinder your ability to grow? Now think about that concept. Your audit action is this: choose one physical habit: sleep, movement, or nutrition. To standardize, meaning it becomes a non-negotiable baseline for this year. You have to choose one. You're going to choose sleep. If you're a horrible sleeper, if you can't sleep properly, you're going to figure out, you're going to go to the doctor, you're going to do a sleep apnea, whatever. You're going to make sure that you are taking the right supplements so that you can sleep properly at night. You're going to fix your bed, get a new mattress. You're going to do something to make sure your sleep is the priority. Or you're going to move. That means you're going to get to the gym. You're going to go for walks. You're going to make sure your body moves every single day, like I do every single day. I don't care how much I hurt. I don't care how much it can hinder me. I don't allow it to. Move your body. Work out. Take ownership in your health. Invest in your health, no matter what it takes. I just spent $13,000 on stem cell therapy so that I can look at a future and invest in my future health so that my back doesn't hurt. Whether it hurts or not, I'm not going to be stopped. You can make that a priority. Or nutrition, probably one of the most important ones. What are you eating? What are you putting in your body? Make nutrition the priority, because people always want to lose weight and get in shape. And the first thing I tell them is 90% of that comes from what you eat and how you understand nutrition. You must eat properly. You must understand portion control. You must understand how your body works as a science. Along with movement, you put them together, it's great. But one of these must be your standardized, non-negotiable baseline for this year. Number 4, the resource territory. We're talking about all these territories in our kingdom, and you have 4 of them here. The resource territory is your wealth and your time. Remember what we said about time. It is the most important non-renewable resource you will ever see in life. You cannot renew it. You cannot get it back. You cannot give it anymore. You only get it, and who you give it to and what you give it for. Those are your choices. So the question is, where did your 2 most precious resources, time and money, actually go this past year? Did your bank statements and your calendar reflect a kingdom builder or a consumer? Think about how that is worded to you. Or do your bank statements and your calendar reflect kingdom builder or a consumer? Think about this concept. Am I giving money away that I shouldn't be? Am I spending it on garbage? Am I spending it on things and then worried about my finances? Am I actually being resourceful and understanding how my money is a resource for me and It provides me with a stress-free environment at times and opportunities at times. Am I investing it the proper way? Am I losing it? Am I spending it? Am I living paycheck to paycheck? What am I doing with my money? Do I have a full grasp on that? Is that one of my pillars that's cracking where I don't know where my finances are going? I need to work on them. And then time. Time is the most important thing. Am I wasting my energy on people that I shouldn't waste my energy on? Am I wasting my energy on things that I'm doing that I shouldn't be wasting my energy on? Is it helping me build my kingdom, or is it sucking some of my life out of me? I keep bringing up video games. I watch these young kids do it all the time, even my own son. Video games. Is there a benefit in everything? Sure. I'm sure there's probably a benefit in video games for these young ones. They can understand how to maneuver and they understand technology better and certain things, but it's also a waste of a lot of time. It's a waste of energy. Horrible communication when you think about what they're actually saying and doing on these video games. There's a lot going on when you could be spending your time with resourceful things that can help build your kingdom. There's other things that you can be doing. Now, and that's my personal opinion. Some people are going to tell me, no, video games are great and amazing, and that's perspective, and that's okay. But the idea becomes is, where are you spending your time? What people are you spending it with? Did you waste a lot of energy and time on wrong people? I told you this many times before, and I'll say it again. I just ran into this man yesterday, and I thought this is one of the best reminders. He says, if you hang out with doctors, you're a doctor. If you hang out with crackheads, you're a crackhead. And the idea is, maybe it's not put the proper way, but it is very true. You put yourself around people that suck the energy out of you, you become that toxic part. You become a lot like them. You put yourself with people that are on the same wavelength as you, have the same core values, then you start putting yourself and pulling yourself up. You hang out with those doctors, you're going to be brought upward. People that are really striving for more. Now, I'm not saying all doctors are great and amazing, but I'm saying you put yourself around high quality people, you're going to move yourself to a different status of where you want to be to build that kingdom. So your audit action is this: find one resource leak. Remember, we talked about the leaking, right? Remember, we said it's a time-wasting app you might be on. Maybe it's you just scrolling through Instagram. Maybe it's a subscription you have. Maybe it's watching Netflix nonstop. Maybe it's a reoccurring unnecessary expense that you spend something on. And cut it immediately to redirect that fuel towards your legacy. Get rid of something that's not bringing anything to your table to help your kingdom. Pick one thing. Your audit action is to pick one thing that's draining you. I have obsession with watching, whatever show that you watch every single night. Or maybe that is your downtime and you need that show, and that's okay. So maybe you're going to get rid of something that's sucking the money out of what you're doing in life, and maybe that's hurting your finances. Or maybe you're going to get rid of something that is taking your time and you shouldn't be doing. So you have these audit actions that I've listed for you. Again, find one resource link we just discussed. Choose one physical habit, sleep, movement, or nutrition to be your foundation, your non-negotiable baseline for the year, right? We talked about commit to one relational investment, right? So some person or group that you will pour more of your energy into this year to strengthen your community. And then the last one was identify one belief from last year that is officially evicted to make room for year 2 growth, right? One person, one thing, something from last year that you got rid of so you can make room for year 2 growth. So those 4 action items, those 4 audit action items are what I'm asking from you in order for you to move forward and grow in year 2. Again, we're going to go from just talking about it to actually blueprints, moving yourself into a direction that says, I am actually doing these things. Last year, I tried to implement some of those things. I would give you challenges, telling you to do things, and now we're really going to dive into those blueprints. So I hope that you're on board. Please, if you're listening to this, just take a step and think about them. Half the battle is just putting them out there and actually saying the words out loud or actually writing down the actual words. This is how you show progress. So to wrap this all up, the goal of this broad audit isn't to fix everything in a day, okay? It's to stop the bleeding. Once we know where the leaks are in our mindset, our relationships, our health, and our resources, we can stop reacting to our lives and start reigning over them. Be proactive, not reactive. I have been around many people that are constantly reactive and not proactive. I just had this conversation this morning at the gym with a 70-something-year-old woman who shows up every single day to the gym. She says, my husband thinks I'm here for social hour, but I put in work. I watch this woman put in more work than 90-something% of the kids that walk in there from high school and college. She is a machine. Now, her workouts are what she does. She decides. But she walks in there with a purpose every morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. She is at the gym for at least an hour. She is an amazing woman. She is someone that takes care of her family. She's a great person to talk to. She's also somebody that puts in the work to build her kingdom. And I say this to you because she is reigning over her kingdom. She is not reactively, she is proactively looking at her body physically and mentally, and she's building herself up so that she doesn't sit here in a couple years and go, I should have moved my body. This is what we're talking about. The blueprints for year 2, this is the way we move ourselves. All right? All right. So this is what I'm going to ask one more thing of you. Not only are these action items, I asked you these audit action items to write down or say out loud and identify them. I'm asking you to listen to what I'm asking here. One last thing. I want you to write down one kingdom pillar that you want as your focus. You want to fortify this year, and I want you to share it with me. All right? I want you to send me a comment. I want you to tell me what pillar you're working on. So again, what are our pillars? One more time. Our pillars are mental health and changing our mindset. How can we change our mindset to actually make change? Number 2, physical enhancement. How can I physically, with movement, nutrition, sleep, those things we talked about, physical. Number 3, your relationship with God, your spiritual uplift, your purpose in life. The 4th pillar, career and finance development. How do I advance my career? How do I get more money? How do I create more money? How can I move forward in my career? Number 5, your emotional intelligence. We spent a lot of time on that this year. Emotional intelligence, your relationships with other people, your kids, your family, your person. How do we enhance that so we get better relationships? Those 5 pillars, I want you to send me one through the comments on this podcast, through Spotify, through iHeart, through Amazon, through Apple. Write a comment. Okay, like this. If you like this, please like and follow. I would love to have more followers. Please follow. That would be great to see. Understand that if you're writing a comment, please share it with me. I see the comment first, and then I can go ahead and I can send it out there in the world, but make the comment out there, what pillar. I'm not asking you to do much more than that. This makes you an active builder. This one step makes you an active builder. Those 4 audit actions make you very well in tune with your own life. And then when you come out and you actually put it out there to me and you actually say, this is the kingdom pillar I want to work on, you don't have to elaborate. Just tell me what it is. I want a good idea of what people are looking at. And we can discuss more of those pillars if we have a variety, or we have the majority of pillars being from the same group. So please go out there and make that comment. I'm asking you, that's a challenge to you. Please finish that. Finish this by going out there and writing a comment to me so I can see it. All right. So this is year 2. I'm excited that people are still here. I'm excited that this is doing really well, this podcast. It's also led me to many, many things out there. The great things that are happening in my life. I have about 4 different things that I'm doing all at once right now. One of them we talk about is this podcast going on. We talk about my own job. We talked about my life coaching business. I'm talking about I built my website. I'm now talking about building an app. I've just created an app that might be released that will be a tool for my life coaching business. There are a lot of things that are going on. I still have 2 other things that are really major going on that I really haven't talked about with anyone yet. But there are things that are happening because I'm not a dreamer. I'm a doer. I want you to be a doer. I want you to move forward and do the things that you desire. I want you to take those pillars that are cracking at times, and I want you to fix them up. That foundation is number one. Number two, those pillars need to be fixed the appropriate way. We talked about those leaks that are happening. We talked about those high yields that are our focus point, right? That are doing well. Let's work on one concept. All the pillars have to be worked on at times. Some are focused on more than others, but all of them need to be standing and can't crumble in order for our kingdom to stand. We want to get to a second level. I want this kingdom to be shining huge from where you can see it sky high. I'm always here to build you up. Those people in my life that have been influential in my life throughout, I've always been there for them to build them up, and I will always be there for them. Whether they're there for me or not, there is unconditional love in places. My family, my friends, my people, those are the most important. And I will always be there for them. And now I'm here for you, and I hope that you take some of this so that you can do the same for your family and your kingdoms generations from now. Build your legacy. Everybody should be building that legacy. Have a good day. Until next week.